Hello, today we're going to be discussing the anatomy of the digestive system. Now, the GI tract or alimentary canal begins up at the oral cavity here in the mouth. Of course, we have our teeth, our tongue. After you chew, you go back to the back of your throat called the pharynx. And here's where we're going to pick up the story. From the pharynx, we go into a smooth muscle tube called the esophagus. Now, the esophagus is what carries all the way from the pharynx, behind your oral cavity, all the way through. It's this tube goes all the way through the thoracic cavity, through the diaphragm, a hole in the diaphragm, out the other end into the next organ, which is the stomach. Now there's a sphincter right here called the lower esophageal sphincter, also called the cardiac sphincter. Then we enter the stomach itself, this top portion called the fundus. Here's the body, and the narrow portion here called the pylorus. When you look inside, all of these gastric folds are called rugae. And then here at the pylorus, we come across another sphincter called the pyloric sphincter. That pyloric sphincter is what allows us to then enter the small intestine. This whole area through here is called the small intestine. It's divided into three sections. The first part of the small intestine we enter is called the duodenum. Then we get into the jejunum and the ileum. So we curve all the way around the longest portion of the GI tract, all through here, the small intestine, until we get to the end right here and pass into the large intestine. This right here is the ileocecal valve as we go into the cecum here, up the ascending colon, across the transverse colon, down the descending colon. This S-shaped curve here is called the sigmoid colon as we head back and more to the middle and down. And then we straighten into this straight portion called the rectum, and we end here with the anus. So as we look in the body, the large intestine goes up and around like so. So from the beginning of the alimentary canal GI tract, we go from mouth to pharynx, down the esophagus, into the stomach, the small intestine, large intestine, and then out the anus. The other digestive organs, not part of the GI tract, but still part of the digestive system, we have right here our liver. Under the liver, we have our gallbladder, so both of those here in our upper right quadrant of our abdomen. And then across here, we have our pancreas. Now note that the pancreas noses up against the beginning of the duodenum. This curve is the beginning of the small intestine. So pancreas comes across and leaks its fluid in there, and then the duodenum continues down into the rest of the small intestine. Those parts of the digestive system that are part of the 30-foot tube from mouth all the way through, ending with the anus, are called the alimentary canal, the GI tract, and the other organs, such as the liver, the pancreas, the gallbladder, as well as salivary glands and other things that don't have food, they're not part of the actual tube, those are called the accessory organs of digestion.